Dawson silly.
Hey guys!
What's up, everybody?
What's up? It's been a minute since we've made a video.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It was Mr. Alphin's birthday, so we were celebrating
I thought you was
him.
about to blame me. Like,
Anyways, it was his birthday, so we've been in celebratory mode. And yeah, we're just gonna jump into this video because y'all have been asking. We did a questionnaire on what was that, the Instagram story, and some people were asking, we see the happy couples and all of that, and we want to know about the hardships. We want to see the hardships.
say
I
less.
was like, okay, y'all want to know the hardships? Fine. So we have a two-part to this because we have been together for an extremely long time. So we have to break it up into two parts because we've known each other since we were children up until adulthood. So y'all are gonna get child to adult. But we're gonna start off with this one. Where do we begin?
I think it's best to start at the top.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been like this. It really hasn't. The chemistry was always there. If you ask either one of us, we'll both tell you that we never thought that we'll be married. I at least I didn't see that. I thought she was way out of my league in the marriage department. Of course, I wanted her long term, but as far as where I was not. I was not somebody that was capable of wifing her. She was somebody else's wife at the time. I was just like, look, I just want the V card, pretty much. And I got that. And then, everything transpired. But from the top, I'll go ahead and just throw it out there. I made the decision to ask her to marry me before I was fully ready. I was ready to commit, but when it comes to some foundational things, just stewardship over my marriage, understanding her love language, just basic things. I did not possess those qualities. I knew that I wanted her long term, and I did not want her to get away. I wasn't pressured into it as much as my mother-in-law tried to pressure me, as much as my own mother tried to pressure me, as much as Britnee tried to pressure me.
I did not try to pressure you, but I let you know that the relationship was starting to become stagnant and there needs to be a change. I don't know what that change was, but after 5 years, it was like, all right, so we're doing the same thing, but we're just living together now. Like, something has to change. Like, there has to be more accountability, something, responsibilities, something has to change because chemistry just wasn't it. Chemistry for us is the equivalent of people being in love. Like, oh, well, I love them, that's why I stayed. But our chemistry is just, it's just there. Even when we're upset with each other, we don't talk for a little while. Like when we first started dating, when we stopped talking for a while, or during the breakup time, we still had chemistry. Like when we walked past each other, there was still chemistry. So that for us is never the basis of what keeps us together, at all. Like it's just there. Yeah. But not to cut you off, but our hardships were definitely in the area of communication, because Dorian was a habitual liar. He lied about any and everything constantly, and
it was to protect you.
And no. He lied about so much stuff, like it literally caused a tornado of a situation that is, even after all of these years, still disturbing, but, and still in disarray to a degree, but, the lying was really out of pocket. And I'm like, my thing to anybody that knows me is there's no reason to lie to me. And I mean this humbly and respectfully, but I am not somebody to lie to. Like, I'm just a regular person, just like you, just like Joe Schmo, just like Sally, just like Karen. I'm just a regular person. You want to lie to somebody, lie to God. Don't lie to me, because he's of stature. He is somebody not worth lying to, but somebody that you kind of don't want to tell your business to, because they're going to judge you, or, you know, something's going to happen. You're going to receive a repercussion. I'm just a regular person. If you lie to me, that's on you, because I don't care enough for you as in what you're going through. I care about everybody, but I don't care enough about what you're lying to me about for you to even lie. Like, if I just ask you a question, there's no reason to lie. Just tell the truth or don't say nothing. I'm not somebody worth lying to. I don't take things that seriously. So for me, it was always a struggle, because I could not stand liars. Like, it was just as bad as manipulation. Like, those are two things I just don't like. I don't like being manipulated, because I he's still alive. My dad was a very bad manipulator, and still is. And, you know, that's a whole nother topic in itself.
That's a whole nother video.
Taboo. We're not even gonna talk about that. And I would never talk, bad about my dad, even though it is worth it. But, you know, he was a manipulator all of my life, all 29 years of my life. So I never liked that behavior or characteristic from people. So anytime I saw that behavior exhibited, I automatically backed off and put people in a box. And Dorian wasn't necessarily a manipulator, but he lied a lot, or he didn't communicate things with me, like not his emotion, anything, like no communication. He just made a decision, and then I was supposed to roll with it. And I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I will never forget how he asked me out the second time. The first time he asked me out was in college, and we were in my dorm room. And then the second time he asked me out, we were riding in the car. I think he was dropping me off at home. We had just went somewhere, and he was like, "So you know we go together, right?" I was like, "Are you asking me or you're telling me?" He said, "I'm informing you." I was like, boy, number one.
So right.
1, 2, and 3, I'm West Indian. Don't talk to me like that. Number 2, I'm from New York. Do not talk to me like that. And number 3, I'm black. You do know that I'm black, right? Don't talk to me like that. But needless to say, we got in a relationship and we're married now. But, you know, he just made his own choices and then expected me to just fall in line. And for a while, not even gonna play like I wasn't that girl. I was that girl. I did what he said. I was at his beck and call. I was that girl, and it wasn't because I was weak. And I'm not saying girls that do that are weak, but I just didn't have a backbone, because this was my first kind of real relationship. My previous relationship with my ex, it was kind of like a manipulated situation, because his dad and my mom were really good friends, and we kind of got together on that whim. And I was already setting the boundary, like, I don't want to do that, because if we break up, then y'all stop being friends and then stuff gets awkward. I don't want to be a part of that. So they were like, no. And then me and the kid fell in love, and then, you know, it was planning weddings and all of this stuff, and he just shut down emotionally. And I was like, were you gonna tell me? And then it seemed to be this pattern that, you know, it just shut down, and I had to do a self-evaluation. Like, are people shutting down because of me? And I realized I had a really strong personality. Kind of telling me things was a little difficult.
You still got a strong personality.
I do, but I think that I'm more receptive now.
A lot more receptive.
Yeah, so the communication was a really, really rough time for me. Like, it caused a lot of heated arguments, verbal, physical. We've had some really rough fights too.
Yeah.
Like blood, skin missing.
Not no Ike and Tina type stuff.
Yeah, we had one moment of Ike and Tina. It was in a laundry room. I'll never forget that. That was a bad. We both walked away with like blood ripped shirts. I was like, God dang.
We weren't throwing bows. Like, I don't want nobody thinking like, yo, y'all fist fight each other. Nah. In that situation, I was just trying to leave the laundry room. It was this small little narrow room. I started getting claustrophobic. Britney's not letting me go because she don't like me driving when I'm angry. I was just trying to leave the house and walk away from the situation. But Britney was mad strong in that moment. I could not get by this chick. So I had to do what I had to do, and that caused, you know, some bruises and stuff, because I'm trying to push, she's pushing, and we falling. So that's what that was. And just to clarify. But
It was crazy.
yeah, I was a terrible communicator. Terrible. Because I've never dated anybody before Britney that held me to a standard, which is why it was so easy for me to just leave, because I didn't have nothing invested. It was just like I was with you for, and I hate to say this on camera, and I apologize for any ex.
I apologize on his behalf, because y'all, I've been around for a lot of his exes, and I'm so sorry on his behalf for his negligence, because whoo child.
It's terrible to say. So like I apologize, you know, for what I did. If I hurt you, if I offended you, that was at the time it was not my intention. And it's still,
that's the first time you've ever said sorry.
Really?
That's so good. That's what happens when you turn 30, guys. You start apologizing.
It's real, because I dealt with the karma of it. Trust me. Look, if you was preying on my downfall, I got years of it. I went through a lot of things that shaped and molded me into the man that I am. So you got your get back, indirectly, to say the least. But yeah, Britney held me to a standard, and I was like, I don't like this, but I love her. And I could not let her slip. Every time she started to slip a little bit, I'm like, damn, I gotta get on my game. Mm-hmm. So I gotta communicate. You gotta stop the lying, because she says that my ears move when I lie. So I'm like, me being mad light skinned, she's gonna see that. So I can't lie to her. I gotta tell her the truth. So I got in the repetition of telling the truth. She just broke your boy down. Mm-hmm. Like, I am emotionally involved with her in every step of the way. Like, it's crazy who I am now because of her. But yeah, early it was rough. We went to marriage counseling before we got married. We had to do some exercises, and I think there's one exercise that we still do, that we took away from it, and it's called owning your piece of the pie.
Yes.
So in a disagreement, whether you are 100% right, you know that you're right, is still taking accountability for something involved in that situation. Right. So you have to own your slice of the pie, and that kind of levels the playing field.
Yeah.
And for us both, if we find error on both our part, and we're accountable for that, it helps us move past it and learn what the other didn't like about the situation, and what we learned going forward, knowing how to avoid it. So, like I said, you can be 100% right, but try to find something to help your partner understand you better by owning your slice of the pie.
Right. And not, when we say own your slice of the pie, it's not saying we'll find a fault in it. It's just saying, you know what? We both misunderstood the assignment, and I'm going to own the part where I didn't communicate effectively to you, or I didn't, show up when I needed to, or whatever the case is. It doesn't mean that you're at fault, but it's just saying this situation could have went right instead of left if we both worked together. Here's where I miss it as a teammate, and here's where you miss it as a teammate, and we both own that slice of the pie that didn't, get to form.
Yeah.
But yeah, communication was a thing. Not being ready. And I want to touch on that because he started the video with that. But I think a lot of times people want to be married so bad. And the one thing that, we both got into the marriage with different expectations because it was new for both of us. We kind of had our hand force, which we've talked about this in a past video, with when it came to our marriage. However, the one thing that I want to stress to you guys about marriage is this is not just a piece of paper. I see so many posts about people saying marriage is just a piece of paper, or they want marriage so bad. And I think that y'all want the cute side of marriage, the part of marriage where everything is good and gravy. You guys have sex like jackrabbits. You have kids. Your finances are A1, all of this stuff. Marriage is different.
Yeah.
And I say that because if you are in a spiritual marriage where God is literally in your marriage, like he is the driver and y'all are in the backseat, you're not even a passenger, you're backseat drivers. When God puts you in a position with your marriage and you say, use us as vessels, we're surrendering our marriage to you, your will, your guidance, whatever you want. Number one, it's a dangerous prayer to pray, so beware. And number two, be ready, because when you put your marriage under God, you get tests together under God.
Yeah.
Your tests by yourself are nothing compared to marriage tests. I promise you that, because you're both held accountable separately, and then you're both held accountable together. And when your hand is forced in some situations, you see your partner's true colors, and sometimes those true colors cause more of a test, because then you have to overcome that personal hurdle because your true colors came out, and then you have to figure out how to deal with those personal hurdles and get to the test together and finish the test together and complete it. That's when it gets tough. And I don't think some of y'all are really prepared for that side of marriage. Whether you believe in God or not, every marriage goes through tests. Everybody has weaknesses. Everybody has things that they have to work on. And when your hand is forced, that's when you start to see your partner's true colors. And for us, our hand has been forced a lot of times. Granted, I think for both of us, our weaknesses is our explosive anger. And there have been, even though it has gotten bad with our arguments at times, I think it's been like maybe 2 or 3 years since our really like terrible argument blow up, like hands blow up, like it, because we've learned how to communicate. No, we're not perfect. Yes, we still have disagreements. The day we were supposed to record this video, we had a disagreement and we could not. Like it couldn't, the recording couldn't happen. And we'll get to that in a moment. But you know, that was one of the things that people really don't tell you about marriage. Like, it's not cute all the time. The cupcake phase wears out after the honeymoon. Like, that honeymoon phase dies on the honeymoon, and then after that the work begins. Like, marriage is a business.
It's literally everyday job.
Yes. And
every day
you have to find a silver lining every day. Not once a week, not every single day. You have to wake up and find a silver lining and make that the center. Sometimes you're not going to be in love with your partner. Sometimes they're going to be ugly to you. Sometimes you're just going to wake up and hate their guts. It happens. Sometimes more for people than not, and sometimes it leads to divorce. But you know, you have to fight for the goal of your marriage, and you have to set a goal for your marriage. Not, you know, oh, we want to make a lot of money together. No, our goal is to be the best examples for our children, because we have children. We had children before. We had a son before we got married, and now we have our daughter, and our goal is to be the best examples to them as possible, to show them a life that we did not get to have. And that's not saying, you know, our marriage is based around our kids, but as we're being an example for them, it's helping us better ourselves as individuals and as human beings that are working together. And my biggest thing is, you know, as far as marriage goes, like, I am not pouring into my husband because he's my husband. I'm pouring into him because he's a human being. And at the end of the day, if God is like, your assignment with him is up, it's time for you to move on, y'all need to get a divorce, whatever it is, even though God does not, you know, condone divorces, sometimes people grow apart. That's just human nature. And I feel like, you know, if God says, okay, it's time for y'all to separate, okay. Absolutely. Human Britnee is going to be devastated. But as long as I've done what God called me to do, and that's pour into him and help him be the best man, the best father, the best human being, the best creative, the best person, I've done my job. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the chapter ending if I've done my part. If that's all that God put us together to do, was to help you guys, okay. And if we did that, great. And if that means that our chapter's over, okay. It's gonna suck, you know, we're human, we have emotion, but, you know, for me, I never get into a relationship, marriage or just a regular relationship, to be with somebody to better them for me. That's not my goal. My goal is to better you as a person. Friendship, stranger, viewers, random people sending me messages. My goal is to leave you a nugget. And that's it. That's what I do in any relationship, including marriage. I build people up for them to be the best versions of themselves. And I think when you go into a marriage, understanding that we're just two humans that have an assignment that we have to work through together, it makes things so much easier. It makes life so much easier. And I really stress to y'all to be prepared for marriage, because we weren't ready.
No, we weren't.
And it took, this is year 6 for us, going on year 6. And I think it was about year 4.
Until it was like,
we were ready.
Yeah.
So we were going through hell for 4 years. And then, and then after that, it was like, we should do better. Like, I think we were probably high at the time. We were like, we should do better. Like,
I definitely stress to you guys, if there's a way that y'all can cohabitate. If there's any way that y'all can live together, do it as much as possible. If y'all are both agreeing to move forward towards marriage, y'all have to understand each other on a level where you're sharing space with each other. Me and Britnee, we shared her dorm room, a twin size bed, for like the first month of college. That was the first time we really like lived with each other, and we got to see different things. Were we jackrabbits? Of course, it was new.
Of course.
We in college. Mommy and daddy ain't got nothing to tell us or stop us. We 4 hours away. Of course, we getting it in.
Oh my God.
Came back home and we were doing that.
This.
Hey, listen, it is what it is. They know how we got our kids. We grown now. But I really stress, like, I'm going to write a petition to the government and let them know it should be a prerequisite for people to live with each other at least for a year before you say I do. Think about it, because when people get married and you finally move in, oh, wedding bells, throw the rice, now I'm living with you and I smell your ass. You ain't tell me that part.
Because the first time we lived together in the apartment, I swear to y'all, I called my mom and I was like, Mom, is this an all the time everyday thing? Because he stank. Not with an I, with an A. He stank. Like, I was like, look, the toilet seat up, there's like pee, and then his washcloth. I was like, Mom.
I'm a lot cleaner than I was in the apartment.
He is. He used to take like annual showers.
Annual
showers, bro. It was bad. I was like,
you couldn't give me bi-weekly?
Nah, bro. That ass was funky. I was like, Mom. And she laughed at me so hard. And I was like, I'm serious. I talked to my grandmother about it. My grandmother was laughing. I was like, listen, I need help. I need guidance. Like, throw me something.
And that's just one little piece. That's a very small piece.
Well, I was about to call it quits. I was about to call it quits.
Britney ain't like really make up her bed like that. That was a big thing in my family.
That was
you leave your room, your bed better be prepared.
And it wasn't like I didn't make it up, but I would just pull the cover and leave the pillows how they were. And he's like, no, we have to like tuck, and it had to be like mission, army style. I was like, all right.
My comforter need to be symmetric.
Yeah.
I need to be able to get down in this level.
He's very particular. And I have, over the years, I have learned, because we had very many arguments about the bed not being made because he don't play. So the argument that we had the other day, we're just gonna go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. Y'all have seen a video, I hope, where you got to know me and got to know my husband. My husband was a hoe. Okay, I turned my hoe into a house husband with prayer, holy oil, lots of arguments, and lots of weed for patience. And I was virgin when I met him, obviously. And I was a goody two-shoes. I say that very humbly, but I was a goody two-shoes. This is a true story. So growing up, sex was not something I discussed with my mom. I didn't even get to take sex ed in school. I think my mom didn't allow me. It was in 5th grade. And I've never been interested in sex. I never asked questions that were so... I think when I was in middle school, I asked like what an orgasm was, because this girl on the bus was talking about it, and my mom was like, excuse me. Like, she went to the school, like it was a whole situation, and I was just asking because I didn't know what it was, and I was like, oh, well, does it hurt? And my mom was like, Jesus Christ. Like, and I just I didn't care. Once I found out what it was, I was like, oh, okay. And then I never asked about it again. Like, it was, I didn't like watching sex scenes, anything. So with that being said, sex for us in our marriage was very difficult. In addition to me not being into sex, sex was introduced to me very aggressively. And when I say aggressively, yes, rape, touching on, all of those things. I have dealt with a lot of sexual trauma, probably starting from a very early age, about 4 or 5. And it has been something that has, been very difficult to cope with moving into adulthood and moving into marriage, especially when his love language is physical touch. And he is a lover of all things sex. So for me, it was like, oh, this is a lot. And in the beginning, when, you know, I lost my virginity, we were jackrabbits because it was something new. It was exciting. It was exhilarating. And yeah, it was different. And then it was less pressure when we were in a relationship because, you know, it's like, oh, well, again, not to sound like that girl, but I was that girl. I know he was sleeping around and I didn't care because I'm like, I'm not really bound to him until we're married. If that's what he wants to do, even though it hurts, if that's what he wants to do, let him do it. I'd rather him get it out now because if we do end up getting married, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm looking over my shoulder trying to take a peek at his phone to see if he's being faithful. So if he wants to get that out of his system and then come back to me, okay, whatever. Again, it still hurt, but I'd rather him do it in a relationship level and not deal with God in a marriage level. So anyways, sex is very difficult. And it was difficult because when we lived in the first apartment, we weren't married. So I was like, we can't have sex. We can sleep in the same bed, but we're not going to have sex. And he was like, that's not going to happen. We're not going to sleep in the same bed. You sleep in a tank top and underwear, and you're not going to let me hit. No. He's like, that's not happening. So we had sex sporadically, like probably once a month, once every 2 months.
Annually.
Anyway, and then I had a rule, no sex on Sunday, because I was like, that's blasphemy. And he was like, I mean, we're already going to hell because we're sleeping together, so we might as well kick the can on the Sunday. And I was like, I'd rather have to file the bed on the Sunday. It's a day of rest. This is a true story. That was my rule. That
was your rule.
That was my rule. And we did not have sex on Sunday. Moving into marriage, it was like we moved into our parents' household, his parents, my in-laws, and it was weird because the floor creaked and their room was literally right there. And I was like, it's a little awkward. And then we moved into my mom's house. So it was us in a bed and then our kids literally like right there.
Yeah.
So that was really awkward. So we never really had an opportunity to explore sex the way that we wanted to within our marriage. And when we got married, my goal was to up my intimacy. And because of that, it kind of made me lose confidence. One with my weight, one with the lack of space that we had to explore sex the way that we wanted to. It was just it was a lot, y'all.
Yeah.
And I think I made so many excuses about, you know, sex. Like I made a lot of excuses about it.
Sorry, I said it in my head. It came out.
I made a lot of excuses, and now that we're in our own space and we've been here for more than half a year, you know, it's been good, but it could be better. And it started to get to him because it's like, okay, you're making excuses. Like, you're not as big as you were. You've had a weight loss surgery. Like, what's the problem? And for me, it just, I don't know. And we had an explosive argument over it. And I was like, I'm sorry. I just came and asked you, like, in the event that you're tired, you know, do you want me to proceed with trying to have sex or do you want me to back off? And it just spiraled out of there, and I don't know why, but I 100% think that it was a necessary conversation for us to have because we got a lot of clarity about our sexual, you know, expectations for each other. And for me, it made me have to do my self-work because I realized that all of the sexual trauma that I thought I had dismissed and deleted out of my memory and out of my traumatic, you know, bank was still there. And before, you know, it was difficult for me to have sex with him because I knew all the girls he slept with before, most of them. And then on top of that, it's like, I'm a virgin and I'm sleeping with somebody who's had different people. So you've had this experience with this girl, this experience with this girl, you've done this position with this girl, and then you watch porn. So that wasn't my thing. It was just like, this is what you get. I'm gonna lay flat on my back, I'll turn to the side, like that's what you getting from me. And you know, after we've been having sex for how many years? Too long.
Since 2010.
So it's been 12 years. It's a long time. The same position started to get, you know, boring. And it was like, okay, so we're not going to keep doing this. We're going to try something else. And, you know, my weight was an issue. And then seeing other girls, like, being self-conscious. And then it's like, okay, so you've healed from the girls. You've healed from the weight loss. Like, what's the problem? And, you know, after a long conversation that lasted pretty much the whole day, it started off as a heated argument and then kind of got mute. And then we revisited it later that day. I hadn't really dealt with sexual trauma, and it showed. Like, it was like, okay, this is something that I'm trying to find a positive in when it was presented to me negatively. Mm-hmm. And it was starting to become very difficult trying to do that, because it's like, I can't push past this, but I have to, because I'm in a marriage. You have to push past it in a marriage. And it's not to say, you know, that you have to force something that's not there, but you have to heal. And that's part of that getting ready for marriage thing, because everybody comes with baggage, which is our part 2. And that's something that you have to come together within a marriage and understand. Trauma is a part of my story, and I have learned how to move past some things, bury some things, and suppress some things. And as I've gotten older, God has caused me to do my work in different seasons of my life. And now we're in the season of Britnee doing her work for sex. And he did it at such a wonderful time, because it's like, you're coming to me when my husband's 30 and he's been snipped and he's at the height of his sex game, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep my legs closed, I'm gonna be a lady, and he's like, open him up. I'm gonna dive in. This is what he really does in real life. So
you're not gonna get that out of me.
So it's been interesting, but yeah, that has been a stronghold hardship in our marriage. Probably worse than communication.
Yeah, I can. One thing I do want to speak to the fellas, because I feel like our audience is predominantly female based. We see that. I look at the analytics on YouTube, and it's like 98% female. So for any male watching this that needs a sounding board, I'll tell you straight up, if that's the woman that you want to spend the rest of your life with, you're gonna have to have some patience, my brother. Y'all are gonna go through ebbs and flows when it comes to everything, especially sex. It comes in waves. Women are a lot more literal than us. They're a lot more emotional. So to us, we like, your fingers ain't painted. Why is that stopping you from laying down with me? But to them, it makes them feel sexy. And that one little thing can turn them off, or, stop her in the middle of y'all doing something because she's getting in her head. So you have to understand that you're dealing with an emotional creature. You're not dealing with a physical one. So just...
It's you.
It's what I do. So from a male standpoint, have patience, understand, don't, what was I saying the other day? Don't push the agenda so much, but find a new angle. So for us, right now, what we're dealing with is initiation, because Britnee, like she explained, she wasn't introduced properly to it. She didn't get around like that. So it's like,
contrary to what people lied and said in high school, he was the only lucky one. Right. Y'all so sad. Go ahead.
Trust me, it curved to your boy. But anyway, we were talking about initiation. So for us, I'm trying to find a different angle and help her understand what she likes. Is trying new things. Try new things.
I don't touch myself, and I know this is TMI, but that was like, I grew up in a super Christian household. That's like, you're going to hell if you masturbate. It's like, okay. And when I explored it in high school, I repented every time. Don't laugh at me. Stop it. Okay, I did. Stop it. I repented. Anytime I cursed, I repented. It was really bad. Like,
y'all see what I'm dealing with.
I was was a really good girl. And then I just stopped altogether. And then trying to watch porn, it was comical to me. I'm like, these people are really disgusting. Like, they didn't even bathe. They just randomly started doing
what they did before.
Listen, the storyline, I was watching HBO porn. I wasn't as adventurous as y'all on these different porn sites. Them little HBO, like, story shits. It was nasty.
I can't get down with porn no more. I really
Oh God, it was so bad, and I had to stop watching it. I'm like, y'all nasty. Y'all just laying on people dirty behind desk and.
Another thing for my man, put porn down. Like, honestly, cut it. Like, I don't care where you at in your journey, cut it, bro. Because what you're doing is creating an expectation for your wife. And what's going to happen is every time that you lay with her, you thinking about what you just saw. Mm-hmm. And that's never going to be what you get out of your wife. She's going to be able to tell. Like I said, she's emotional. She's going to sense that energy. I guarantee if it don't come out with the first 10 times, it'll come out on the 11th. And she'll see what's going on because of your actions, the way that you move and how you're probing her to lay with her. Cut it out. I'm telling you. And another thing that most men don't understand is the longer that you hold your semen, it's called semen retention. Look it up. What it does is actually activate. It's like a pineal gland or something like that. The pineal gland is in your brain, but it travels up to that joint and actually gives you like this sixth sense almost. It's man, go. Semen retention is real. So stop letting it out in the toilet, in the shower, in the sock, in the towel. Let that go in your wife, or pull it out however you got y'all situation going on. But honestly, cut it out. It's gonna stop the expectation with your wife, and in short, it's gonna make you smart as a mug. All right, we can keep going.
So anyways, I think those are really our only hardships as a married couple. And then finances, that's everybody's hardship. I don't care how rich you are, rich folks got problems too. But ours is not even, our financial issues are not even worth a video chat. I think everybody right now is in a financial crisis.
Gas is $6.74. Like, you going through hardships, don't play.
I just got them skates. I'm finna skate everywhere. Like, I got
I'm gonna hop on your back.
Period. But yeah, I think other than finances, communication, and sex, those are like our toughest hardships, and not being ready, like that lack of readiness. Again, we are not a perfect couple. I appreciate everybody that messages me and is so in love with our union, sends us blessings, prayers. We even have spiritual people telling us the ancestors are sent. I appreciate all of y'all that love our marriage and our bond and our kids and our family, but we are not perfect. We have gone through some things, but what I tell most people that I message and talk to on a daily basis is that y'all are witnessing the work after, the aftermath of the work that we've put in for all of these years. Although we've only been married for coming on 6 years, we've been together for over a decade. So things for us, we learned lessons very early on, and we've known each other since we were 14. So there are going to be ebbs and flows that you go through in your 30s, 40s, and 50s as adults that we've already gone through. Yeah. So the conversations that we have are different. And my best friend and her husband have known each other and been together for forever too. So our hardships are a little different. Their circumstances different, and our circumstances are different. But we have some history and some skin in the game. So, you know, we've kind of grown up together, and I think that's what makes, you know, another good thing for y'all to have couples around y'all that understand what you're going through. Because, you know, when we were dealing with the whole sex thing, I had to really reach out to my best friend. I'm like, bruh, I need you to help me because I'm gonna put him up for adoption. I'm sick of it. Like, and she really had to like gear me into my headspace to be like, listen, you need to like go to counseling. Y'all need to figure it out, because that is a real thing. And we got through it, and yes, we're still gonna, you know, pursue some options, because I know this is just one hurdle of it. But yeah, I urge y'all to get some married couples around you or some people in relationships that they don't have to be the same circumstance as your relationship, but they do need to have gone through some similar circumstances or have some skin in the game, because you're going to need those references and those stories and those examples and those testimonies when you're going through your hardships.
And I have to say, a lot of people, they look at marriages like, oh, game over, it's only one spouse, blah,
baby,
blah,
it's
blah.
fun over here.
It's the life. First of all, let me tell you from my perspective, I'm saving so much money, my dude. I'm saving so much money.
You're spoiled.
And the fact that she got this bariatric surgery, she can only eat this much anyway. So, oh my God, we go out, my plate is going to be, what? $16, $17 at max if we somewhere fancy. Hers,
he literally just shares some of his. We literally, for his birthday, we went to a restaurant and I literally ate like a corner of my food, and I spent the whole day trying to finish.
Yes.
Kid you not, it was 10 o'clock at night and I was still trying to finish that bowl, and it was still over half of the bowl left. I was so irritated, and it was only $8, but it was a principle. Like, I just wasted $8 whole because for 12 hours, it was like. Reasonably, it was 8 hours. I literally didn't even make half of the bowl disappear.
Yes.
And I was pissed. Because it was good. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I ended up throwing it away. So, yeah, you're spoiled.
It ain't nothing out here, man. It's not nothing out here. I'm talking to so many people.
It's something out there. I just think that everybody has like expectations and high boundaries because they've been, run through with different relationships, men and women. Women are not the only people that get run through. Don't keep that stereotype and that lie alive. Men have been run through too, because y'all have expectations for pussy that you want. You have expectations for the body that you want. You have expectations that you don't want to deal with no independent black woman who makes more money than you or less money than you, who's too high sedity, who's this, who's this, who's this, who's this. Y'all want a certain caliber of women as well.
We do.
Don't do that. Don't try to group us all black women like y'all crazy out there. No, we're not. We have boundaries and we have expectations for a reason. Yes, it's because we've been hurt. Yes, it's because we've been with many different types of people or talked to different types of people. Absolutely. But we're worth it. Like, we are, because ain't nobody gonna cook for you like we do. Ain't nobody gonna love you like we do. Ain't nobody finna cater to you like we do. Ain't nobody finna beat up no other hoe to try to step to you like we do. We're gonna defend you even when you're dead wrong. We will lie for you. We will do whatever we have to do.
It's true.
And that's just it. We're just the best. I love all my other races. I love my white women. I love my Hispanic women, Asian women, Somalians, all of y'all. But ain't nothing like a black woman. Period. And that's it. And that's that on that. We will see you guys for the second video, part 2 of our hardships. And y'all don't want to miss that one. Yeah. That one is going to be much more juicy. Yes, much more juicy than this one. But we will see you guys on the next video. Bye.
Peace.
No,